What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show, where we connect with six, seven, eight-figure earners who got principles, strategies that you can learn from and implement into your business so you can execute and get a fast solution, get a fast result. And on today's episode, I got an amazing guest who touches on a subject that we all probably touched on, but we haven't really talked to a lot of experts in this category. So, Mr. Kazra, who focuses on e-com payments, helping you to not only get the money but know what to do after that, right? So, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to have this conversation with you and
Thank you.
learn all of the things that you're currently doing in the marketplace.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me here, bro.
So let's just talk about payment processing for a second, right? Because I think that for the average entrepreneur, they know they need a payment processor, but they're not often checking in on like the fees, the agreements, the terms, you know. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like,
Hmm.
if I know that I'm good, if I just started my business and I know that I got a client right now, I might just be like, okay, let me just get this PayPal account.
Okay.
Let me just get the Stripe account real quick because I want to get the money. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
So what are some of the things people should be mindful of when it comes to payment processing?
well, one thing right off the bat, man, I would tell you, and I hate to say this, but it is a very shady, unethical business, right? The payment processing space has been around for a long time. And as long as I've been in the industry, which is maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 years now, it's been extremely unethical. And what I mean by that is that you have people who, because let's say you go to a website and sign up, right? And you got to realize the money that you send through payment processing, this is like your bread and butter. But we're in such a rush, and when we're online, as an example, let me just take a step back because I know I'm all over the place. Let's say if I came and I gave you, let's just say, I gave you a stack of papers like this to sign, right? To do a deal, you'd be like, man, I don't know, man. Like that's a lot of paperwork. Immediately, your a flag would go up. You say, I got to get an attorney to look at all of this. So let me take it
Yeah,
home. You may not even sign it, right? But online, the stack is way thicker than this. It's fine print, but how many of us read it?
hmm
So you don't know what you're reading, and the people who put those together, they're not putting them together to protect you. They're putting that
yeah,
together
they
to
know.
protect them.
Yeah, they know that you're not reading it.
You know it. So a lot of times, like we talk about these big companies, and I see a lot of people promote the big companies, but the people who promote them, a lot of them have had issues with those same companies. But after so many years of trying, and now that they're working, they're just saying, hey, it's easier to go here and do something. It doesn't mean that it's the best thing because you have to read the terms and conditions to see, do they even accept your kind of business? Are you allowed to sell that kind of product?
That's
And
true.
if you, right, and sometimes they say, oh, they held my money. Yeah, because you didn't read the terms and conditions to realize that you're not even supposed to be selling that particular product. And a lot of times, especially for new entrepreneurs, right, and I would say new between 1 and 3 years, you figured out after a while, but after having your funds held so many times, having your funds locked up, there's really nothing you can do about it because you've already signed your life away, your income away for your business. So I think the first thing people need to do is be extremely aware of what they're signing. Most of us don't know anybody at these companies, so I mean, it's almost like superstition. You believe in what you don't understand, or you just having blind faith, and that's unfortunately, the reality of it. And you can look online, man. There's, cases where Wells Fargo, huge bank,
Yeah,
hit with all kinds of fines for overcharging people, creating accounts, right? And they're not the only bank that does that. Not saying that banks are the ones who do payment processing, but think about a bank who offers payment processing that really they're a big referral partner. And think about the billions of dollars. They just got in trouble again recently
mm,
in the loan and for doing crazy things with loans and things like that. So just being aware, man, is the first step I think that people need to consider. And it's not always what's easiest is that's the best, and it's not always about the fastest.
yeah. So what are some of the things that I guess I got two questions with that, right? So number one is, what are some of the red flags, or what are some of the things that we should be paying attention to when we're looking into payment processing, and then number two, are there any that we should 100% avoid, or also are there some that we should possibly even favor or consider?
Well, I can't mention names who to avoid because they'll sue you today, right? But some of the things that you should be mindful of when you're signing is how does it work in terms of reserves. So like with us, we have a reserve. We tell you up front, hey, if you want to process, like we had some people, they may have, as an example, they may have a transaction for $10,000 or 15,000, but their bank account has $2,000 in it. So if they get a chargeback, who's going to handle?
Hmm.
Right? So we tell you up front, hey, we need a 10% reserve to handle your chargebacks, or if something, gloom and doom happens, or if you shut your bank account down. So what is a reserve policy? Is it up front, or does it happen where, 10% is taken out every month and then it caps, or does it go to infinity, or do they just decide to hold your funds when they feel like it, right? So understanding that is a key. Also understanding the transaction, like how much are you paying per transaction is super important to understand.
That is super important.
Now you go to a website and you may see 2.9% or 3%, but you don't read the fine print that says that's the lowest rate. Because if you use a business card, the rate may increase. Or if you get a certain number of chargebacks, the rate may increase as well. Or if you hit a certain threshold, some companies will cap how much you can process. So let's say if you process, you get geeked up and you sign up and then you hit 20,000, and then now they hold your funds and your rate goes from 3 to 5%. It's in the agreement.
Yeah,
It
that's
may be
crazy.
it's shady, but it's in the agreement. That's unfortunately how it works. So that would be some of the things I would look forward to. I would look for, and then some of the entities that I would probably stay away from are entities where honestly there's no face, right? Um, and I know like as big as Amazon is, we still know who Jeff Bezos is. As big as Tesla is, we know who owns that company, right? So it's not like oh, they're we're too big. Like you don't know who run banks, you don't know who the CEO is of a ton of different companies, and there's a reason for that, right? Because all kinds of things happen. Some people want to remain private, but all kinds of things happen, and they don't want you to be able to get in contact with them, right?
Definitely.
So when something happens, you can't go to the employee, right? You can't email it. Most of us don't even know who the CEO of Stripe and PayPal is.
Yeah, that
We
that's
have
facts.
we have no clue. We don't
Yeah.
even know that when they hold our funds, that then they loan you funds at
Yeah,
a
they
high
do.
interest rate on
Yeah.
top of that, right? And the crazy thing is that it's such a crazy cycle because we're so like in a rat race trying to get the next dollar, and we're pushing people into that same almost like trap because we can make money from it. We're selling our product, and then let's offer this as a part to get to our product, not realizing you almost like the Pied Piper, leading people to something that they. I'm not saying that PayPal or Stripe or any other companies are bad per se, but you don't know because you haven't read the terms and conditions. So why would you send somebody else to it? You follow me? It's almost like I would never refer you, Brendan, to somebody who I haven't dealt with, and who I know for sure. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I can't say I could tell you offline who
Yeah.
definitely not to avoid. Now here's another thing I will give you a tip on. There's a lot of ways you can get to payment processing, but a lot of times we don't know who's who. So as an example, I could tell you anything about payment processing and say, hey, come to my company, but you don't know if I'm the source or not,
Yeah.
right?
Facts.
So I could be a white label of a white label of a
Of the
white
white
label,
label.
right?
Right.
Which is why you're paying so much. And then when something happens, like you talking to me, I'm the third level up. You're talking to me. I tell you this, I tell you that, because I'm trying to get paid. I got to eat. I got family. I got bills to pay. But I don't even read the terms and conditions from my white label. He didn't read the terms and conditions from her white label. And then the actual company that does the processing, they got a whole different program going on that
Mm.
all the different layers and levels. aren't explaining to you.
Yeah, and they're not adhering to either. That's
They're
crazy.
not adhering to. They telling you, say, hey man, listen, man, I got this product I want to sell. Oh yeah, before you can finish the sentence, we got you, right?
Yeah.
And it's so many layers. So I think that's super important. There's a website. Let me see if I can find it real quick that you can go to, where you can determine who's actually the
Oh, like the
source.
source. The source. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in the chat here. And
Okay.
when you enter in the company name, it'll let you know whether or not they are an FSP, which stands for full service provider, or if they're not in there, then you already know, they're not the source for sure. So that's the website right there. And let's just see. I'm gonna test it out, and I'm gonna type a company up. Let me call it. Let's see. Just want to make sure. Yeah. So let's say if you type up Ecom Payments
Yep.
in there, Ecom Payments LLC, and you click search, right? You see how it comes up?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me grab it right now. Let me do it on this other window. Right now we are on with Cause Raw Econ Payments. We're talking about payment processing, all the ins and outs, things that you guys should be privy to, and I'm gonna let you know. A lot of us are not reading the terms and conditions, me included, because we are in a race to get the pay, to get the bag. You know what I'm saying? We are in a race to get the bag. So just being more cautious of some of the things that we should be looking out for, or should just be questioning, and just have more of an understanding of how things work. I think is extremely important. So yeah, it's coming up right now on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So what was the while this is coming up? What was the motivation for you to get into the market and provide an alternative solution for people to tap into?
Honestly, man, it was kind of like a fluke because I started off as a brick and mortar sales guy, just going door to door, selling a product for a company out in California. And then after about a year and a half in, I realized that I was just the henchman. Like, you send somebody out to do the dirty work, but they don't really know what they're doing, right? They're doing a great job at it, but they don't know that, I'm over here knocking people over the head. And so when I realized that I was working for a shady company, I was like, oh my God, I had to stop. So I stopped working for them as a consultant and then went to work with another entity as a consultant, and then realized that they were doing the same thing. I'm like, man, this is a lot of shadiness. And then we finally got to a level where we went directly to the platform itself and realized, okay, this is where everybody else is getting the shadiness from, right? So then we finally got to a point where we can actually control have more control over the processing, right? Which is where the FSP is. And unfortunately, man, and we were doing good for about 3, 4, 5 years, and I came to a point where my ex business partner, man, he became the most shadiest guy in the world, man. And, it took me for a spin where I'm just now recovering from it. We had been in the business for about 11 years together,
Mm.
and we had been at FSP for about 5 years, and then he probably saw so much fraud out there that banks were doing, that other payment companies were doing, and so many schemes and scams, and you take advantage of the merchant, the client take advantage of the sales rep are taking advantage of you. Like everybody's taking advantage of each other. It's like crazy, man. I'm telling you, man, it's like the gladiator. It's like, being in like one of those domes or whatever. Just you get in there and you kill or be killed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I had to, unfortunately, he was doing things where he was charging excessive early termination fees, holding funds. Let's say if you have like right now, if you're processing with a company and they hold $100,000, right? What are they doing with that 100,000? First of all,
Fact.
do you get the whole 100,000 back? Secondly, what happens to your money for that 3, 4, 5 month period?
Yeah, they
Right?
invest in that joint.
Exactly. Then you get an email for a loan. Some companies invest it, but you're not supposed to legally. I don't know. Some of the big companies are able to some kind of way. So he started to do a lot of different things that were unethical, suing clients like crazy who may owe 20,000. He was suing them for 100,000, and then And then also, I will admit, there's also some very shady clients out there as well who who had their funds held, who you have to fight with that. So it just became so ugly, man. And I sued him, and then the bank jumped in and sued him as well. It was this whole cycle, man, that, like I said, I'm just now kind of recovering from. And I stepped out on faith, or I stepped out trying to do the right thing to say, you know what? I'm gonna take up for the Brendans. I'm gonna take up for the, the brothers and sisters or whatever. I'm gonna take up for this community or that community. And in some ways, I don't regret it, and in some ways, I do, because you find out that there are a lot of clients out there who are extremely unethical, for one, but also people just don't care, because everybody's chasing the bag. My ex-partner is trying to chase the bag. The banks are chasing the bag. The clients doing the shady stuff, chasing the bag. The clients that you're trying to protect, chasing the bag. But it's who you are, right? And so I'm that kind of person where if I can do the right thing, I'm gonna always do it, and I'm just dealing with it. So
100%, man. So we're on with Cosro. We're talking about payment processing. We're talking about some of the ins and outs. He just shared the global registry of service providers. So if you guys can see that link in the chat, definitely check it out. I have it up on my phone over here. So what's a company that we should research? I mean, actually, you were researching econ payments, right?
Right. When you pull it up, you will see that it has a registration there.
Okay, yeah, let me do it right now. So throwing it, company name. Do I need to click search?
Oh, click search to the right. Click search.
Okay, got you.
If you type Econ Payments LLC, it'll come up.
So econ payments.
So right. You could type. Did it come up for you?
So I just typed it in right now. So I have it. Is it all one word in the company name?
It's Ecom, ECOM, and then payments.
Oh, okay. I think I put it. Okay.
So I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, got you. I think I added an extra.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I see it right now. Came right up.
Yeah. Or and you'll see how it comes up as being a registered company. Then you can even put Stripe.
Yeah.
Stripe, Inc. and they'll come up. They're everywhere. Japan, everywhere.
So Econ Payments LLC, California, USA, ISO merchant, Visa, TPA program. Yeah, it came right up. Region of operation, United States. So whatever company you throw in, this is gonna give you that
if they're the source or not.
If they're the source or not. Okay, cool. Now that's awesome. Came right up. So now you can really see if you're really, who you're dealing with is really who you're dealing with.
Correct. This is Visa's website. Visa Global Registry of Service Providers. So a lot of people say, we're direct, we're the source. All right, put their name in there and see what happens.
Yeah. And it's crazy what you know once you know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know this yet, and now you know it. Now you can go do your due diligence and really find out, like you said, if people are, companies rather, are who they really say they are, if they're claiming to be, the source or not.
Right. And the way I see it is this: hopefully people are honest with you. If they're not honest with you about something like that, what else aren't they going to be honest with you about? You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's super important to understand. And also it's important to understand because now you need to make sure that you're following the actual protocols that the company who's doing the processing wants, not what somebody's telling you verbally, because I can tell you anything.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, you could talk to an attorney. They'll tell you anything, man. Oh, don't worry, man. I got you. We're going to beat that.
Yeah.
You're not going to put that in writing.
Facts.
So, yeah.
Facts. So, okay. So, Econ Payments, what are the type of services that you're providing? So, if I open up a brand new account, right, what are some of the things I'm able to do with the platform?
So, one is that the basic level is making sure that you get money into your bank account, right? So you can, if you have a brick and mortar store, a restaurant, grocery store, liquor store, hotel, we have POS systems. Or if you're processing online, right, you want to take, you have a sales team, you want to take the calls over the phone, you could do that. Or if you want to send them invoices, you could do that. Or if you have a website, you want somebody to click and buy your products, you could do that. You can put people on recurring payments. We also have the ability, you can set up bank accounts. We can give you debit cards, like, or virtual cards. If you want a physical one, we can do that as well. There's a lot of different services, man. But for the most part, you look at it like, how do we get money electronically from
Yep.
point A to point B? Point A is somewhere out there. Point B is in your bank account.
All right, and then what are some of the fees, right? So I believe Stripe, I think they were like, and this is just me going based off my memory, because I'm not looking at it right now, but I think it was like 2.9. You could double check, but I think it was 2.9 plus like 35 cent a transaction. So what are people looking at if they go with e-com payments, and does it fluctuate depending on the transaction?
No, it doesn't really fluctuate. So we try to do a flat rate of 2.8
Mm,
and 25 cents. We're a little bit lower than Stripe, but it depends on what kind of business you have. If you have a brick and mortar business, then that means it's face to face, so it's less risk for a chargeback. So, like, if I give you a credit card at a brick and mortar store, when you slide the card in, it's very difficult to charge that back
yeah,
because you have to say, they're gonna say, well, who was there putting the card in? You have to literally lie, right? And now you have to basically charge back everything that you did that day. It's much more difficult to fight a chargeback when somebody slides a card in. Over the phone or over the internet, you can always say, wasn't me,
yeah,
right?
facts.
So the fee would be, that's why it's 2.9 versus a lower rate if you were brick and mortar.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then what about payment holds, right? So you got a brand new fresh Stripe account, and I've obviously been there a few times. Brand new fresh out the box Stripe account. You just ran up, 7K, 5K, 10K, and you could just see the money there. Money's there,
Right.
right? So they're gonna hold that first transaction to season the account about up to 14 days, right? So doing that initial transaction, or just in general working with ecom, are there any payment holds in our process from that first payment or payments into the future?
Now 14 days. I think, like I said, I have a video where the CEO of PayPal was saying they invest the money in low risk, I think bonds or something like that. So I don't know if that, I'm not saying that's what they're doing with that, but
That's
he
probably what
did
they
say
do
they
with that.
invest money that they hold, right? Um, we don't do that, man. What we do is we try to get all the documentation ahead of time. I think the reason that Stripe may do that is because it says speed, love, success. That's what people say, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So you rush and you hurry to get the thing going without having all the documentation, but at least you got your foot in the door.
Yeah,
They may
facts.
hold it because your EIN number, employer identification number is incorrect, the address doesn't match up, you don't match up, and they may send you an email and you may not get it, or they may just say, hey, hey, he don't know. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you knew. So we about to just take
Right,
your
right.
7K and make a quick little 38K on it, and then
Right.
you get it back.
Because it's in small print, what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they could also be doing secret shopping. They could
Mm,
also be going through your sites, and they have a lot of AI. So AI is not like a human that could just go to it and get it done right away. It still has to learn what it is that you're doing, right? Or they may buy a product, go
mm.
through the product, see what the process is. Where we try to do that ahead of time so that we don't have that hiccup. Now we may hold it for 2 or 3 days or something like that initially to say, hey, all right, are we good here? Can the funds hit your bank account? But we try to do that ahead of time.
Now that all sounds good. Lower transaction, low per transaction percentage,
Uh,
and then also lower hold in terms of the time duration that it may take for you to get access to those funds, which could be capital for a lot of business owners, right?
it
They
is
need
capital.
they need that to buy more goods and services to supply their customers with what they need, or pay for an additional vendor so they can actually provide that high level product or service that they promise you.
Correct.
So that's amazing, man. So I'm definitely glad to definitely hear that ecom payments allows customers to be more efficient
Right.
and stuff like that. Now, what about in terms of because you had mentioned Stripe, right? They get to the point where they start loaning you based off of your transaction history. So if you're bringing in, 20K a month, 30K a month, after a while, they're saying, okay, this is the consistency here. We can now give you like a loan direct to strike for 15K or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Zcom also provides some capital for entrepreneurs into the future.
So I don't know exactly how they do it. A lot of times your money is held and then they loan you the money,
Mm,
right? Or they may be loaning you your cousin's money or something like that, whose funds are held. So we don't have a program like that. We can direct you to a place where you can get money, but we try to keep them separate because I think what it does, I think it incentivizes. We used to be with a company whose name I won't say, right? And we weren't who we are now in terms of the status or that level of certification, rather. And I think they were incentivized to hold funds,
mm,
right? And so that's why, like, as an example, if you have an underwriter or a risk analyst on your team, you don't want them involved. You don't want to give them bonuses for sales because they're going to be pushing stuff through that shouldn't go through,
facts.
right? Now, at the same token, you really don't want to have the loan people working with the people who monitor the deals because they may be more incentivized to hold funds because now I know you need a loan if I'm holding your money,
Facts.
right?
Which
So
is crazy.
it's
It's
hey,
like, yo, I'm gonna use your own money to give you a loan. Now you gotta pay that and you gotta pay the loan back. That's nuts.
right, and they already
Plus the
have you, so
interest rate.
you jammed up because they already got your money, right? And if you backfire on the loan, I'm just gonna keep the money anyway.
Yep.
You follow what I'm saying? So it's a pretty like I said, man, I really look at it like the gladiator times or like some kind of mafia organization. It's not many of us in it at all, and I
Yeah.
say especially at this level, it's probably like maybe one or two. I'm not even exaggerating. At this level, so we try not to do that. If you want funding or something like that, we'll direct you somewhere to where you can get funded, but we don't necessarily provide that, at least not right now. Now, if you want to set up a bank account, we'll
Mm,
do that, and then let the bank provide you a loan.
got you.
We'll do that,
Got you.
but we don't mix it like that.
Got you. Got you. Now that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, obviously, right? That's the payment piece with the processing. And I know that you also kind of touch on like protecting the cash flow. So how does that element come into place?
Part of protecting your cash flow, man. When I say this is so key, when I tell you that I think the overwhelming majority of people out there probably get taken advantage of because they just don't pay attention. Like we're busy, we're chasing the bag. It's so crazy, man, because especially if you have a high ticket mindset, right? You're not thinking about the pennies or the dollars, right? But
Yeah.
those freaking things add up, right? That's why Jeff Bezos is so freaking rich, right? All those small transactions that occur consistently add up. And so we're not paying attention to the transaction fee. We're not paying attention to our chargeback rate. We're not paying attention to our returns. We're not paying attention to the fraud. We just know we get in the bag and we see, oh, we made $1 million. We'll go and spend half of that or more with other entities. Not saying there's anything wrong with that because that keeps the economy going, but we probably, instead of getting $1 million, we probably should have. It says $1 million, but we probably only bring it home after ads maybe 500,
Mm,
right? And then after your expenses for payment processing, maybe only 4, but we're spending 350. So you constantly on a treadmill, like you making money, but you in the rat race because
yeah.
you got to keep. I got to hit you over the head so I can keep these things over here, so I can keep this lifestyle up, right? Then I got to bring other people in order for me to continually thrive at this level. And a lot of times, just because we simply aren't even paying attention to our numbers, where we can have an extra 2, 3, 4, $500,000, especially the more you make, the more you're paying. So the more you make, the more you need to be paying attention.
Facts.
You follow what I'm saying? So that I have an ebook. I think you have to go to my website. I think it's college. Let me see if it's even ready. Because I'm telling you something I haven't even checked. Where I have like a small Yeah, it's there. If you go to Cashflow.com, there's a page there. It's not even ready yet, man. It's like no video or nothing. But maybe you can get on the jump on the waiting list there,
Okay.
and I'll have like a cheat sheet that you can use to help you. That's it right there. To help you
Okay.
protect your cash flow, because there's so many different nuances where you could be taken advantage of just by simply not paying attention and trusting with blind faith. I'll be honest with you, man. Let me just tell you this story really quick. And this happened to a friend of mine. We were processing for him, right? And he was doing about a few $100,000 a month. Then he got up to 800,000. Then he got up to $1 million a month. And because he didn't have his systems working properly, like his fulfillment process, he started to get a bunch of chargebacks, right? Not like super duper crazy, but it was crazy enough to catch attention. But what really caught the attention is that his website was down. So now you got all this money coming in, and you don't, and as a payment processor, you don't know where it's coming from. It could be, not saying that he was doing something wrong, it could be drugs, it could be whatever, right? Or something that Visa, MasterCard, or the FTC doesn't allow.
Yeah.
And couldn't get in contact with him via email, couldn't get in contact with him via phone. His website is down, money's coming in, chargebacks are going up, and that's a major FTC violation, right? So, long story, I was in contact with him about a month later. He's like, "Hey, Kaz," I'm like, "What's going on, bro?" He says, "Man, you guys are holding $2 million." I'm like, "What?" I was like, $2 million. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, how long?" He says, "For a month." I said, "Dude, you must have a lot of money not to call me
Yeah.
for a whole month."
Yep. Facts.
Right? And so this is right at the time when my business partner and I were kind of going in different directions because of the ethics involved. What he was doing was just something totally different that I didn't agree with. As an example, just side note, our clients would sign up with us, and in the terms and conditions, he would add something in there without even telling me that says, if you stop processing, you have to pay 1% of your proposed volume. Now, you know, people always gas up how much money they say they make. They could be making 100,000, but now all of a sudden it's $1 million on the contract because they think it'll get them more benefits. So if you say that you do $1 million and you stop processing, that means you got to pay 1% of the monthly volume, which is going to be at least $1,000 or so. So imagine you do that to one person. Like, you like, oh, wait, Kaz, why I got to pay you over $1,000? I'm not even processing. It's in the contract.
Yeah.
Now multiply that by 100 different clients, right? And so my partner and I started to go in different directions because once I found out he was doing it, I was like, oh shoot. I'm like, dude, we have problems.
Yeah.
So when my guy had his $2 million held, I had to go and fly and meet with my business partner to say, dude, we got to fix my guy. Like, I know what he did. He made a mistake. It's definitely an issue, but we can't just hold that $2 million. And so, long story short, he said, okay, I got it. And he worked out a deal with my friend's attorney to say, we'll agree to release $2 million in $500,000 increments. So he released 500 right away in a month, then 500 in another month, and then 500 again, all within 6 months. A whole year goes by, and my friend, he like, it's kind of like a weird kind of vibe. I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? Like, just talk to me. He's like, dude, you guys are still holding 500,000. I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know. I'm like, I thought it was all clear. So I talked to my ex-business partner. I said, man, what's up, man? Like, release his money. He says, oh, we did. I said, bro, I know you didn't release it. This is like the games that they play in the industry.
Yeah.
So finally, got him to agree to release some of the funds, but this is how he did it. He says, okay, we have to release that minus any fees like chargebacks, any other fees. So he sent me an invoice that said he was going to get, I think, like 180. I'm like, dude, I don't even understand this invoice. Like, what are these numbers you got here? If I don't understand it, I know he's not going to understand it. So I'm not sending him that. And he says, okay, well, we can make it what you want it to be. And I'm like, oh, really? So then he sends me another invoice back, and I'm like, dude, I don't understand this. So long story short, I finally go around him. I just go right to our sponsor bank. I say, hey, sponsor bank, release $500,000 to this particular account. That was his reserve. The bank says, we already released that money over a year ago. Check this out, right?
Bro, that's crazy.
Listen to this. They didn't release it to my friend's account. They released it to my ex-business
Your
partner,
ex-business partner's
who
account,
was
yeah.
supposed to release it to him. Check this out. It wasn't even 500,000. It was 725,000. My friend wasn't. My man put that out.
Bro.
My friend, he wasn't even checking his numbers. He didn't even know that it was more than 500,000. His attorney and him signed an agreement to say, we'll accept $2 million. When really it was supposed to be another 500 release according to that document, but in actuality, it's 700 and something thousand dollars. To this day, that 700,000 and what, $25,000 or $29,000 has not been paid to my friend.
That's crazy.
The bank released it to my ex-business partner, who released it to himself in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. And I can't even go after my business partner legally for it because I don't have title to it legally. I can't even go to court and say, hey, he stole this, give it to this account. Because they're gonna say, well, you don't have any right to it. The bank is not going after my ex-business partner because they ain't lose no money.
Yeah.
And my friend, ex-friend at this point, like you can see why, he's not going after the guy. So he just got a free 700 and something thousand dollars. Now this has happened. That's just one example.
That's just one, because he figured out the game. Well, his game, I should say. So he was going to town on that.
And you know what's crazy? I fought. That was one of the reasons. That was another reason that I fought my ex-business partner for cases just like that, right? And also, it's something that the banks are supposed to have their eyes on as a spot. So what happens is we hold the first level of risk. Something happens, we got to pay. We go belly up, we don't have any money, then the bank has to pay. So the bank, they're supposed to monitor that stuff, right? I fought my business partner. I fought for the bank, not against the bank. Fought for the bank. I'm telling you, man, in some levels I regret it because at the end of the day, everybody has their own back. My business partner, he's fighting for himself to steal money.
Yeah, fact.
Right? The bank is like, listen, we good, right? But by the way, we need some money too. You know what I mean? My friend, he got screwed over. He like, dude, I don't care where it come from. I just need some money.
Just give my bread.
Right. You know, for the most part. So that's why I say it's such a shady industry because at the end of the day, everybody's about the same thing. And when you don't have people who have ethics at the bottom of it, bro, like it takes somebody real. I'm not saying I'm the biggest guy out there. It takes somebody real big and willing to sacrifice to step up. And I tell you, man, I fall for other people too, who in the community, who I regret fighting for because, man, the biggest hurdles I had was from the people who I'm trying to help that look like us. These are people I'm trying to help. You follow what I'm saying? And so it just taught me an overall lesson in life, man. That at the end of, you know, people say this and people say that about the community, man. But at the end of the day, man, everybody sees green.
Yeah, facts.
And I think ethics is so important. This is why I push ethics a lot. It's not like popular. It's not a sexy topic. You know what I mean? You don't make money from it per se. But I think it's something that we really need to reinstill back in businesses today.
100%, man. I think you raised a lot of good points that people should pay attention to, and they should just be more aware of. So I know, like, just this episode alone, there's just a lot to be distilled, and we're a little over time, but I just wanted to make sure that people knew how to get in contact with you if they did want to learn more about e-com payments. If they want to learn, more of how they could work with you and things like that. Where they need to go for all of that stuff.
So if they want to learn about e-com payments, they can go to ecompayments.io. Or they want to, they want to learn about me, and if they want to learn what to do, no matter who you process with, and what some of the things are that you can look out for, you can go to Cashflow.com, and we can just say, hey, here's some documentation, here's some data, here's some videos. My site looks like it's not ready or whatever, but you can even learn how to make money from payment processing as a white label, right? Without having to lie about it. You know what I mean? So
that sounds good, man. I definitely would love to connect with you more and learn more about obviously there's some of these other things that you mentioned. So let's definitely tap in with that. If you guys have any questions, make sure that you head over to Kazra. You pronounce it, is it Maranu?
Yeah, Kyle Marvin do the Instagram page. Yep.
Right there on the top, Kazra Maranu, right there. Head over to ecompayments.io, Kazra.com. We're trying to convince him to change his Instagram handle to like Kazra Pays or something, so you guys can get to it faster. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's right.
But today's been another amazing episode of the Imperfect Action Show with my guy Kazra. If you guys are interested in learning how to protect your cash flow, learn more about some of the red flag things you should be more aware of and pay attention to when it comes to processing your payments, or other ways of how you can actually create cash flow and get to the bag. This is definitely a year for you to learn how to have multiple income streams that don't necessarily going to have to take all of your effort, right? There's a lot of different ways that you guys can do that, and I think payment processing is a very interesting way. So yeah, Cosra, any other last words for the people you wanna share?
Last words, man. At the end of the day, it's probably nothing about payment processing per se.
Yeah,
End of the day, man, it's about, man, for me, no matter what you go through, because the name of your show, I like it, the Impact Imperfect Action Show, and
yep,
I have tons and tons and tons of imperfect action every single day. I feel like every minute of the day, and that's how you learn, man. So don't let it stress you out. If something is not happening properly, it's not going your way, it's not going to last forever, and just realize, man, that for me, my loved ones. I have a little journal here, man, that I write in, and every day I say, what am I grateful for? My health,
yep.
opportunity for impact, and my family. So for me, if I know that what I'm doing is not going to be perfect, and that I still have my loved ones with me, I think I'm successful, man. So.
I think that's good too, man. I got a journal. I kind of do the same as well, where I just write down the things I'm grateful, but then I also do my affirmations and stuff like that. But I
Mm.
think at the end of the day, you touch on some things that are very powerful, because yeah, we're all chasing the bag, we're all chasing green. However, there's some things that are more important than that. I mean, you need the money clearly,
Do
but
you do?
family, health, what I'm saying, how you feel on the inside, what I'm saying, just
Mm.
have some time for yourself, or just creating, different moments and opportunities for the people that you care about, or even just yourself, what I'm saying, just going out and just having some time for you to be just a human being, for you to just connect with the elements, man. So I really like that, and I appreciate you sharing that. Look forward to have you on one of the other shows, especially in person. This has been the Imperfect Action Show. Make sure you guys tap in with my guy Kazra, and we will see you guys on another episode. Peace.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.